All right, and we're live. Hi, everyone, and welcome again to another session of Any News Australia, where we try and bring you the information that you're looking to find and probably can't find in the regular media channels. And today we have with us Bharon Hoag, the Executive Director of OneChiropractic, joining us from the United States. Welcome,
Hello.
Bharon. How are you going?
I'm doing well, my friend. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, we appreciate it. So you mentioned it's quite late in the evening there, 7 p.m.
That is correct.
And we've got Australia Day here, and we've got a holiday, so it's glad to have you with us. Tell us a bit more, for those that haven't heard about you and what you're doing, tell us a bit more about your organization and what you're up to here and overseas.
So my organization is called OneChiropractic. We're a nonprofit organization founded in Columbus, Ohio, here in the United States. It was created back in 2016, really as an organization to try to help expand the impact of chiropractic. At that time, it was primarily in the United States. But in February of this year, we started a new project based on an idea that was given to me that we're calling the Chiropractic Defense Council, or the CDC. And yes, that's intentional. We're trying to rebrand those initials in a positive way. And we started it with the idea that we wanted to create a defense system for the profession of chiropractic around the world. At the time, we were seeing issues in various different countries of chiropractic under attack, and chiropractors being limited in their ability to do things like take x-rays or treat children or use certain terminology that was well within their education to use, but they were just attempts for other organizations to limit the impact of chiropractic. And although, we're 126 years as a profession and we typically rally and find our way through, it's oftentimes very inefficient, wasteful of resources, and takes too long to have the impact that we need to have. So our idea was we want to build something that could really be mobile and execute on a moment's notice and make sure that it doesn't take us as long. We're not wasting those resources, and we do a better job of protecting those rights. And so we started putting that together, not really knowing what was coming. Again, this was pre-vaccine, pre-mandates, all of that stuff. And then all of a sudden in August of 2021 is when the mandate started in the United States. Started off in California and then quickly went to 7 different states. And we were lucky enough to really have our stuff together. God's timing is perfect. And we were able to get our attorneys and get everything together. And we successfully defended chiropractors all over the United States. And we didn't have a single person that lost their ability to practice because they didn't get vaccinated. We were able to protect their right to choose. And so we got a really good reputation very quick because of how quickly we did all of that within 3 weeks. We were effective. We had 11 attorneys. We had drafts written. We had resources provided. We had webinars and conference calls with doctors all over the country, guiding them the right way to move, working with other associations and other organizations that were involved. And it was just a very well organized, calculated move. They got us a lot of good credit, street credit. Well, the message started spreading around the world. And all of a sudden I started getting calls from Australia, New Zealand. So we're now in 7 countries around the world doing this work. In Australia, we've been working now for about 5 months. We have around 1,000 people connected to our organization. And we're working for chiropractors and allied health professionals, really anyone that is self-employed and affected by the mandates. So obviously we know we have 5 states within Australia that are affected by mandates, New South Wales being the last one that goes live on Monday. And so, our job is to get our legal team to tear apart these directives, figure out where the loopholes are, where there are opportunities for providers to continue to practice without having to get vaccinated if that's the choice that they want. And I want to be very clear because everyone loves putting people in categories. We're not an anti-vaccine organization. We just believe that's a very personal choice. And people should have the right to choose, and they should not be forced being threatened that they can't provide for their family. They can't go to school. They can't fly. They can't do the things that they should be able to do because they're not willing to put something in their body that they don't feel is appropriate. And so we fight for that right to choose in providers. We want them to be able to continue to practice, help their patients, serve their communities, and not be told that because they don't want to do this particular thing, that they're somehow, a threat to society, which we now know is not true. But that was, the rhetoric that was being pushed. So we're very pleased about the work we're doing in Australia. We have successfully defended over 30 providers that have had complaints with the licensing board, APRA, or complaints with DHHS officials or police officers that may show up to their offices. Our legal team is very proficient in these issues, and we have a 100% success rate of making sure that providers can continue to practice. So we're working very diligently. We're working with other groups. We're working with general practitioners. We're working with allied health organizations as well. We just bring a very unique structure. We have the resources. We have right around 3,200 contributors worldwide to our organization. So we generate a good amount of revenue that allows us to sustain these long-term battles, to be able to cover the cost of attorneys. So those that contribute to our organization, they're under our umbrella. So there's no additional cost to them for our legal representation. So it's really a safe place for them. They get information every Monday from us. They get resources that our attorneys develop, and then they have the defense on the back end if anyone harasses them. So our goal is to give people peace of mind. We're finding that as draconian and tyrannical as the government is wanting to be, there's really more bark than there is bite. And when push comes to shove, we have a 100% success rate at ensuring people continue to practice. And so if you're listening to this and you're a provider of any sort, you own your own practice and you feel like you're on an island, you feel like you don't know where to go or what to do, go to our website, www.defendchiropractic.org, and read about us. Click on Australia, see the videos that we put out every week, look at the materials that we've created, and we would love to have you come under our umbrella so that we can give you that sense of peace so that you can get back to doing the work that you need to do.
Yeah, fantastic. You're doing a lot of great stuff, and I think it's a fantastic service that you're providing. And I hope more people come to find out about it as a result of this show as well. But if we can go back a couple of steps, if you could like to explain for the audience what exactly is chiropractic healthcare, and why do you think it's been historically attacked so heavily by the regular mainstream healthcare services and authorities?
Oh man, that's a big topic. I'll do my best to keep it concise here, but so chiropractic really is a profession that believes in the body's ability to heal itself. One of our long-lasting, antigens that we say is above, down, inside out. We believe the body is a self-healing, self-regulating organism. And the reason that we oftentimes have the explicit disease that we have is because there are interferences with the body's ability to heal itself. So maybe the best analogy, if you cut your finger, you don't have to sit there and tell your body to produce T cells. You don't have to ask for white blood cells to go to clot it up. It doesn't, it knows. Your brain is so unbelievably powerful. It knows the minute that skin is pierced to automatically do what it does. The same thing if you walk outside. You guys are in summer right now. When you walk outside and it's really hot, you don't sit there and tell yourself, okay, body, produce sweat so that it can catch the wind and cool my body to keep my core temperature at its rightful place. We're in the middle of winter. It's 20 degrees outside. So when I walk outside, I don't have to tell my body to shiver to produce heat so that my body stays warm, right? These are self-regulating systems in our body. But what happens is there's so much stress. There's physical, emotional, and chemical stress that we go through, and those are interferences to the brain's ability to properly regulate the body. So what chiropractic does is it looks to the cause of what's happening, whether it's neck pain, back pain, anxiety, ADD, autism, all of these different things that we've been very successful at helping over the years, because we can help the brain re-regulate itself to better be aware of what's going on below it and help self-heal and self-regulate. The mechanism we use is the spine, because the spine is what protects the nervous system, right? Your nervous system is really the operating system of your body. Just like that computer chip in your computer is the operating system that makes the beautiful monitor work, that lets the wonderful speakers work. It's all about that processing. If something happens in that processing chip, then the computer starts going haywire. Well, that's what happens in our bodies. And so chiropractic is a profession that specializes in understanding how that nervous system works. Here's just another minor example, carpal tunnel, right? A lot of people have that type. 90% of the time, the issue is not in the wrist. It's not in the carpal canal. It's in your neck. And so rather than focus on the symptom, we're going to look at the kinetic chain. We're going to look at how the body truly operates to find the cause. And if I can find where that nerve root comes out, or maybe it's even the brainstem that's having pressure put on it, we're going to fix those things, which will ultimately relieve the symptom that's happening in your wrist. So it's a very natural form. We don't prescribe drugs. We believe the only thing we would recommend would be lifestyle changes, nutrition, exercise, and then regular chiropractic care to keep your brain and body properly connected. So the reason that we've been under attack is, if you can imagine, that is absolutely contrary to allopathic medicine. Like, we literally are the antithesis of what they recommend, which is drug, cut, immobilize. They want to freeze everything, stop it from moving. And their success is no symptom. So, for example, high blood pressure or cholesterol, to them, getting you on a statin drug is success. To us, that's the worst possible thing you can do for high blood pressure or cholesterol, because now you're going to rot out the gut. You never got rid of what was causing the issue. You just masked it with a pill that your body is not really able to process for long periods of time, that's going to produce other types of healthcare issues that you're going to have to deal with down the road. So you're really just kicking the can down the road. Right? The same thing with surgeries. That carpal tunnel, the first thing that an MD is going to do, send you to an orthopedist. An orthopedist is going to cut it open and widen that canal. And those surgeries are only 30% effective. Right? I mean, that's their own statistic. That's not my statistic. That's their statistic, because they're focused on the symptom, not on the cause. So when we go out there and say, hey, we're just going to adjust you, we're going to change your diet a little bit, we're going to change your workout program a little bit, and we're going to fix your migraines, we're going to fix your anxiety, we're going to fix, at least minimize your ADD habits, we're going to get your low back pain going, we're going to get you functioning. And that takes a lot of business away from another specialty, and it really takes business away from pharma. So the reason we constantly get attacked is, the more successful we get, the more impact it has on other lines of business. And don't get me wrong here, there's a lot of money in sick people. There's a lot of money in sick people. And there is a system in place to perpetuate that business model. And if you don't think that's the case, just look at what's happening in this pandemic, right? I mean, I think anyone that's watching your show is someone that knows that something's just not fitting right. Why is it that they won't do ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, when they have been widely successful in other parts of the world, but all major industrialized countries are not allowing it because it would take away the financial resources of the vaccine, because your government is making millions and millions and millions of dollars in the vaccine because they've invested in it. So why do you think it's being mandated? Why do you think those things are happening? That's been happening in healthcare forever. Most countries, especially the United States, because of our lobbying rules and our advertising rules, we don't have healthcare. We have sick care, because that's where it's controlled. It's funded by the special interests that make money out of keeping people sick. Don't even get me started on cancer. Cancer was cured years ago. Years ago. It's perpetuated because there's just an unbelievable amount of money that goes into cancer, right? And so that's why we're under attack, because we're one of the few voices out there that are saying, that are organized, and we are considered physicians, and we're in mainstream healthcare, but we're really bucking the system as far as how we believe health is perpetuated.
Yeah, fantastic. Cancer is a very big topic, and I think we'll reserve that for another discussion. A whole other interview can be had just on that one. But look, we talked briefly before the show about my particular journey with my eldest daughter, who's now 14. At the age of 3, she was diagnosed with recurrent otitis media, which is middle ear infection, and she couldn't hear properly for many, many years. The regular route was seeing ENT, who does a adenoid tonsillectomy at the time and puts in grommets, etc. And I guess, if the only tool you have in the toolbox is a hammer, then pretty much everything starts looking like a nail. But, after 2 of those operations, a couple of years apart, the problem still persisted. And sitting in front of the specialist for a 3rd time saying, look, you've got to do it again. I started thinking, and I said, look, if my daughter was a car and you were my mechanic, I'd say, nothing about cars, right? If this is the 3rd time I'm coming in for this problem. So it started a journey for me looking at other options. And I went from everything from, I looked at chiropractic with some success, indigenous healers, crystal healers, homeopathy, naturopaths. But the one that ended up working the best for my daughter was traditional Chinese medicine, where, she sat in front of the doctor. The doctor didn't know why I made the appointment, took her pulse, looked at her tongue, told me she had an ear infection, suggested some diet changes and a couple of other things. And we drove there, and she was deaf. She couldn't hear a thing. And within an hour, with no intrusion into her body, with nothing else happening, she was hearing perfectly. And, it started my intrigue, I guess, in this whole, what else are we not being told? Why are we steered away from these types of things? If they work, look, even if they are placebo or whatever other things, if they're working, shouldn't that be the goal? And so, I actually did an advanced diploma of naturopathy. Many people don't know, but it was more just to understand from then on forward, more about understanding, how I could help my family better. And we made some major changes to our diet and our chemical intake in the household and whole bunch of other things, lifestyle changes within the house since then. So look, with the changes that they're suggesting now in this country, and I think all over the world, where they essentially want to severely limit access to, or the types of people that practice in this field, look, I think that would be a major disaster for healthcare, well, in this country or around the world as well. So look, how can people get involved and help what you're doing? I mean, I guess, we shared the link. So if you're in chiropractic or allied health, you can join your organization, but how can someone like me or people watching today also contribute?
Yeah, I mean, well, anyone can be a part of what we're doing. I mean, if you like the work that we're doing and you want to stay plugged in, go to our website. All of our information is free. You don't have to be a contributor to stay plugged in, to watch the videos. We update them, every week. The last 3 weeks videos are there. So if you went there right now and you hit Australia, you'll see the last 3 week updates. You'll be able to scroll down and see the directive summaries that we have. So it's all available. We're not a pay to play organization. We're an organization that's on a mission, but obviously it takes resources to be able to do the work that we do. So again, anyone can be a part of it. We want information shared. We want, as the lawsuit that we're going to be filing affects everybody. I mean, we're going after this state of emergency within Australia. We believe the government can no longer satisfy the criteria to be in a state of emergency. They've done everything they said they wanted to do. They got their vaccination percentages. They've opened the borders back up. They're doing things. So if that's all true, then how can you still stay under a state of emergency and still mandate these things that are only there because it's in a state of emergency, right? We want to get to the foundation where all the cards fall because it's no longer making sense. That's going to affect everybody. So the work we're doing is really for all Australians, but it's our protection is specifically for allied health and chiropractors because that's where our attorneys have their expertise, or self-employed individuals. So anybody can go to our site. The more people that are aware of what we're doing, spread the word to your colleagues, your relatives, people. The biggest concern that I have is people feeling alone. I get emails every single day, literally just, as a matter of fact, if you don't mind, I just want to read this to you because this is the kind of stuff that I get on a daily basis. I just got this today, and I want you to understand what's happening. It says, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for being all that you are and assisting all of us through these very transient times. You have a beautiful gift and the ability to promote a sense of calm, support, and stability for all of us who are floundering and trying to find balance. I'm presently in New South Wales, and I'm honestly afraid to stay open because of everything that's going on in the moment. I work for myself, a very small business, and was honestly looking forward to promoting myself, but now I have a great amount of fear. I think the saddest thing of all is that we just keep trying as a collective to help others, but to feel natural. All we want to do is serve our community, but we are threatened to lose our livelihood and our freedoms in doing so. The fact that the government is trying to strip our rights is just very disheartening and sad. I feel like I've been sucker punched and been hit and was hit at an all-time low. I don't know if I'm strong enough to continue, as the government has done an excellent job of fear-mongering and coercion. It's all very exhausting process and swift changes and inconsistent ramblings. I honestly feel like I just need to throw in the towel, but I can't thank you enough for being a beacon of light, letting us know that we're not alone and there's an organization for us to go to. Like, that's what I get every day. It's these people that are literally, all they want to do is love their patients. All they want to do is serve, but they feel utterly alone, and they feel like the government is going to come and rip them out of their home and throw them in prison. And that is not true. That is not happening. So if you're watching this, I don't believe it's by chance. I believe you're here for whatever time, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it after the fact. You are not alone. You've never been alone. That has been their number one tactic, is to isolate and make you feel like you have no options. I'm telling you that is not the case. There are other amazing organizations like ours that are doing great work throughout all of Australia. We are just the niche that's working with allied health and chiropractors, and we have a very strong foundation and structure to do so. So, go to our site, read what's going on, watch the videos. You can see what we're doing around the rest of the world as well. If you want to get an idea of what's the truth of what's happening around the rest of the world, you can watch the videos in the other countries as well. So yeah, I don't want you to feel alone. I want you to know that there's people out there that are doing the work to give you peace of mind.
Yeah, what a fantastic message. I hope it finds the people that need it for sure. Before also we talked about, if everything works out the way it should, if all of your efforts produce the very best possible result, where do you see things going to from here?
Yeah, before I answer that question, I wanted to stop and thank you for what you're doing. I think it's important for people to step up and provide another method of information. As we know, mainstream media has been bought and paid for. The information we're getting there is not accurate information. It's part of the propaganda and fear mongering that was part of this whole orchestrated attack against humanity. So thank you so much for what you're doing. I mean, you reached out to me and asked me to be here. Clearly, you're staying abreast of what's going on. I love the journey that you're on, questioning the status quo and finding truth. I think that's fantastic. So thank you so much for what you're doing and the work. I think more people need to be willing to listen to some other outlets like yourself to really get a different perspective of what's going on to give them hope. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So here, this is my opinion. I like to delineate between fact and opinion. It's rather educated because of the work that I do every day and the people that I talk to. But I think we've got about another month and a half of this ridiculous behavior, and we're going to start seeing the reins really lift. I think you're heading into an election season. I think your elected officials are going to say, look, we did it. Thank you for listening. We've achieved our goals. We've successfully eradicated the pandemic. Go and live and prosper and be free. And they're going to act like this was all part of their plan. And they're going to try to drown all of the data that shows the tyrannical behavior and the misinformation and the lies that were spread. But people, on the large part, aren't going to care because their lives are back and they're just super happy they can travel and do what they want to do. I believe that's how this is going to play out around the world. We're already starting to see that. The United Kingdom already, as of tomorrow, or year today, tomorrow for me, everything's off in United Kingdom. No masks, no vaccine passports, no travel restrictions, no mandates. They're back to business in United Kingdom. We're seeing Canada starting to walk back a little bit their communication, even in Australia, right? I mean, Queensland opened their borders. You have international flights that are now able to come in for the vaccinated. So, I mean, you're starting to see slowly but surely the narrative is starting to shift as the reality of the vaccines and the reality of the efforts that have been done just didn't work. So I think we're going to have a great summer. I think everyone's going to be riding high. I think economies are going to boom because everyone's feeling free and they're going to go enjoy it. And then I think near the end of the year, we're going to start seeing another, I don't know that it'll be a pandemic of sorts, but they're not going to stop trying to control. In my opinion, this has all been a sociology experiment. How far can we push humanity? How much can we lie to them? How much will they believe? How much can we really control them? And this was like a test run, a very long one and a very, deadly one for a lot of people. But I still think it was a test run to see what they can do. Where I think they've screwed up is they've underestimated humanity, which they do it every time if you look through history. Hitler underestimated humanity, go even further back, to the Romans. Everyone's underestimated humanity. And I think they did the same thing. And what they did is they created bedfellows that would have never come together. They really have segmented the population between those that'll take it and those that won't. And those that won't are actually the majority. We've seen that. We've seen that with the protesting that's been done in Australia. Like, you guys were just amazing at bringing the groups of people together that you were. And I think you have organizations like us that are formed because we now know they're not strong enough to stop us. If we can get enough people, if we can get the right things in place, the constitutions of all of our countries, for the most part, really is a protection mechanism. And if we have the ability and the finances to be able to do it, we're going to be able to control those outcomes. And so I'm confident that the next wave that comes through, we're going to be in a much better position to be able to shut it down the second that it starts. We're not going to have a 2020 ever again. We're never going to have where everyone's caught off guard and we're just blindly following as a nation. I think that those days are over. I think they overplayed their hand. I think they could have done it if they were smart. They would have ended it in 2020 and not went into 2021 with all the mandates, and they would have had another wave, and they probably could have controlled society a little bit more. But I think they overplayed their hand, and they pushed us beyond a level that we're willing to go, and we're starting to see that happen now with the creation of organizations like ours. So I'm an optimist. I believe the truth ultimately prevails. I believe in the Bible. I believe in God's plan. And so I move forward knowing that there's opportunities in the midst of trials. And I think I'm proud of our people. I'm proud of those that have stood up. I'm proud of those that said absolutely not, have supported organizations like ours, and allowed people to go about their business. And it's proving to be the right way to go.
Yeah, fantastic. I guess you're right about the trial run. It was interesting. It was interesting how easy it was to control the public perception or opinion the first round around in 2020. But what was interesting, one of the positive side effects, I guess, is that it's brought a lot of the free thinkers, people like us, and people that we've come into contact with over the last couple of years together, and made those groups a lot stronger. So I think if something like this was to be tried again, well, as long as we stay vigilant and keep our guards up, then you're right. I think we should be in a much better position to make it through that and squash any of those movements as well. What are your thoughts on some of that?
Yeah, I totally agree. And that, our organization wasn't created because of the mandates. If you recall, we started before that. So we're not going anywhere. Our retainers, our attorneys are going to be on retainer forever, as long as they're in practice. Sorry, Kev. Enough. Sorry, my pup is wanting to get in on the interview here. So, I think, I really do think they're not going to stop. I mean, we've had these cycles of behavior. Just go back in history. I love history, and these cycles repeat themselves. They're new and different, but everything from the Great Depression to the World Wars to, civil wars, to all of them are created because of the same type of behavior and attempts to control. And so there's cycles of it. The difference that we have now is we have a different type of a people, and we have new mechanisms to tie in worldwide and groups together like we're able to do. So I'm the fight's always going to be there. It's going to come, it's going to happen, but I think we are getting more intelligent, and I really think they screwed up. If I was on their end, they just overplayed their hand. They really could have literally controlled us forever if they would have just done it, let it go, done it, let it go, done it, let it go, but they didn't. They did it, and then they pushed even further and pushed even harder, and it just pushed too many people on the brink. We're seeing that now, because even those that bought in and got vaccinated, even maybe if they didn't want to, but they did it, now they're being told they got to keep getting vaccinated every 6 months. And they're like, no, I bought your lie in the beginning, but I'm not doing it again. So even those that did what they wanted are starting to revolt and say, you told me by taking this thing that it would prevent me from getting it, and it didn't. You told me by taking this thing that it would stop me from going to the hospital, and it didn't. You told me by taking this thing that I wouldn't spread it, and I spread it to my entire family. And so, the lies just keep mounting, even to those that believed them in the beginning. So, you lied to me once, shame on me. You lied to me twice, or shame on you. You lied to me twice, shame on me. I think we're starting to see that. So I really look to the future extremely optimistically, because I think we've created some warriors that didn't exist before. We're seeing some really exciting things happen around the world with people standing up, creating new models of things. One of my favorite quotes in the world is from Buckminster Fuller that says, you can't change an existing reality by fighting it. You need to create a new model that makes the old model obsolete. And that's exactly what Fantastic. I think is happening. I think we're creating new models that are making the old ones obsolete. Organizations like yours, media is forever changed. I think news media is never going to be the same. I think they've lost their control. People aren't going to do it. I think, it's all shifting. It's all changing because they overplayed their hand. And so, I could be wrong, but that's just my educated guess of where we're headed.
No, it's fantastic. Look, it's been a fantastic interview. I really like your optimism, and I think people in this country, especially in the movement, really need a little bit of an injection of optimism from time to time. Look, really love what you're doing. I think a lot of people that are going to watch this now and later are going to want to support what you're doing. If you are in the allied health professionals or a chiropractor, or want to keep abreast of what's happening and all the good work that One Chiropractic is doing, go to www.defendchiropractic.org and get involved and help out Bharon and his team. Any last comments before we close off?
No, I'm kind of been saying it the whole way through, but just don't give up. Don't let them win. They win when we stop believing. Hope is the most powerful weapon ever created. There's always hope. All you got to do is believe there's an option. You may not see it. You may have your bad days, but don't give up. This is not the first time we've had this type of opposition. It will not be the last time. The difference is who you connect yourself with, where you root in your truth. And if you don't have that, we'd love to be that. You know, we would love as many people as want to come and get fed by what we're putting out there. You are welcome to do so. It's free to go to our site and look at all of our stuff. You know, if you feel so inclined, we'd love to have your financial support, but I'm more interested in you feeling connected and knowing that there is hope. I understand there's a lot of scary things that have happened. There are families that have been devastated. There are small businesses that have been decimated. I know these are realities. And unfortunately, I personally can't take on all of those issues. I've chosen my battleground. It doesn't mean that I can't be there to give you some hope and let you know there are people fighting for the rights of all Australians. And, you know, the CDC is going to continue to do the work that it's designed to do. And just know that you're loved, you're appreciated, and we are going to win this.
Fantastic message. Thank you very much again for taking the time. And look, in the future, we might look at, you know, having you back again to give us an update on how things are traveling.
You ask and I'll be here. I appreciate it, my friend.
That's great. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and put these information in front of someone that you think can really use it. The more people that we can help, you know, the better job that we'll be doing. So that's great. Help us out. Thank you very much. Enjoy your Australia Day, and tune in next week when we've got Dr. Sam Bailey on from New Zealand. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.
All right. God bless.